Welcome to the Smeth Den. All right. How's it going? Wait, all right. Can you hear me, Connor? All right, I can't hear you. Wait. Hold on. Is this even on? I can't hear you. Can you guys hear him?
Can you hear me now? Did you guys hear me? I promise I exist, Seth.
Hello. Okay. Hello. You can hear me. All right, say something. Oh, I can hear you. All right. We can hear each other. Okay, they can't hear you though. Okay, right. I don't know why this is working the way it is right now. This is so fucked up. Um, I tried to figure this not. All right. Say something else. All right. They can't hear you. Yes. Yeah, I've got a routing happening. It's just whenever I use headphones, either plugged into my headphone outlet here, or um, I can plug them into my speakers. But if I plug headphones in my headphone outlet, or I use Bluetooth headphones, it just doesn't. It like keeps fucking everything up, and it's just so inconsistent. I don't understand. Do is I have to switch here back and forth, and I think they'll be able to hear you. Um, Maybe not. Not what I wanted. All right, they can probably hear you if you talk. Nope, they can't hear you. Uh, okay, I need to turn these off. Okay. Um, yeah, I can't use headphones, I guess. Um, well, I can't use wireless headphones right now. Okay. Um,
Your microphone's kind of choppy now.
Hold on, I
Not
can't
sure
hear
what.
you. If you can hear, hello,
Yeah, I can hear you, but your microphone's like chopping in and out.
hello,
Hello?
hello. Okay, we can hear each other. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, you sound
Okay.
good.
So this is Connor. Did you guys hear me play you in with a little bit of? Oops, no. we're going to talk about. Oh, I'll get Connor on the screen here. He's trying some new things. Didn't work.
You know, you always gotta try. No sweat. This stuff, I mean, I've been doing audio and video stuff for like a long time, and I still struggle with some of this stuff, so it's just how it goes. Okay, Seth, I think I can't hear you now.
No, you can hear me.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, no, no. I'm just. Hold
There's
on.
a delay in your video feed on YouTube, so when I see you, it looks like you're talking, but I don't hear you talking, so it's
Oh,
just
wait.
confusing.
Here. I'll turn you here. You can see me there. Um,
Oh, sick. There we go. Dude, you got the fancy lit up keyboard like me. Nice.
okay. So we wanted to talk about. So Connor used to be an artist in a lot of ways, and he started getting jaded. Stopped making art so much.
True.
So can you just, talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when
Like
I
a
was a
backstory.
yeah, like when I was a teenager, I used to just make stuff all the time, and I didn't care if anybody else liked it or whatever. And then that kind of carried into my early 20s, and then 25 to 30 was uh, like really bad as far as wanting to make stuff or making stuff for the wrong reasons and not enjoying making music or making video games, that kind of stuff. And it only just only this last year here, it's like I figured out how to enjoy making stuff just for doing it,
Hmm.
like in it itself, and not caring about the results or what happens with it. Um, and that's the reason that's like super important, obviously, is because if the way that you enjoy life or your escapism is picking up an instrument or making video games or doing those things that bring you enjoyment, if you don't have those anymore, then it can be really depressing.
Right. And it took that away from you to. How did you lose it?
Uh,
Well, also I'll give people some backstory. I've used your music on some of my videos and some of my streams. It's this
yeah,
is the man. This is Connor. This is the guy.
yeah. I think how I lost is I think I mean maybe this is normal. I don't know if it's normal for most people in their like mid to early or mid to late 20s. Is that you start wondering more questions. Like when you're a teenager and you're just doing stupid stuff, nobody cares, and you don't care. But when you're in your later 20s, you start going like, okay, well, like who am I or what am I doing? Or I think it's more natural for people to start comparing themselves to other people their age, and you kind of have these questions of like, okay, am I really accomplishing anything? Or those kinds of questions. And
Hmm.
I think a lot of that led uh, to the reason that the reason to make games or music or that kind of stuff is because you have like these kind of superficial goals you want to accomplish instead of it being I just want to do it because it's really fun and it brings me joy, and it's an avenue of expression or escapism from just the kind of dull everyday existence.
Yeah. What kind of goals did you have for yourself? Those
I mean,
superficial goals, the bad ones.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if I kind of explain it a little bit and like line it up too, is that when I was 25 or so, there's a couple things that all happened at the same time. Is one is I graduated university, and all the people I went to university with, I got a computer science degree. Um, they were all getting hired by Microsoft and Amazon, and they're all kind of getting these big jobs. And I decided that I was going to make my own video game and self-fund it. Um, so there's that kind of a thing going on where it's you already feel like everybody else your age is or the people your age are kind of ahead of you in a sense, and
Hmm.
also um, that I was dating this girl, and it was the first time I'd ever dated somebody that, like, all my life I thought I'd never want to get married or have kids, and I dated this person that I was like, holy crap, I could actually see that being a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one day, we were gonna have a date at the beach together, and she just said, "Hey, I'm moving to Australia, so we're not dating anymore." And then I just never saw her again, and that was pretty, what's the word? Heartbreaking, right?
Yeah.
And there's a couple other things all going on at the same time, and so that I thought that, like, if I became more successful in superficial terms, like, more people liked my music, or I had more money or more status or any of those kinds of things, that would heal or take care of uh,
Mm-hmm.
the situation, right? That
Right.
would be that would be the resolution to the situation. When really what it should just be is you just deal with it as it is, and then you go back to living your life the way you want to live it, right?
Right.
But if you combine those things with also, that's, I think that's the same point that a lot of people, or at least I've talked to some friends about it, and they kind of feel the same way, that that's the age where you kind of go like, how do I really uh, like, how do I compare myself to my peers? And
Mm-hmm.
you start to kind of think about that stuff more. And if you do something creative because you really enjoy it and get a lot of fulfillment from it, and you suddenly change it into, this is how I'm going to try and be successful, you turn it into like a day job essentially. um, you no longer have the escapism that you had before,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's the
Right.
because the thing that was the escapism from the day job is now the day job. And so when you want to escape from the day job, you don't have the things that you want, and you're just depressed, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's possible, but you have to set the right boundaries. With something that you were making a video game, something like that is just so massive, and it's like so with what I'm trying to do is I'm basically trying to do what you're saying is bad, except there have been like things where I've had opportunities to do drama, like uh, people egging me on to do certain drama stuff, and I know that that would probably get a lot of attention and money and stuff, but it just would make me miserable. So, um, but like with your coding like a whole game, it's like it's not like you can choose not to code in the movement mechanic or something. You know what I mean? It's like you have to do it all for the product, and it's like a whole big thing. There's no isolated segments. It's all one big giant thing.
Yeah, but I think you can still boil it down to, like, why are you putting this effort and time into it in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if like, especially because, like, in retrospect, if you want to make a bunch of money with programming, video games is really a stupid idea. It's
Mm-hmm.
a really bad idea. There's a lot of other stuff you could be doing in the programming that's much more likely to be lucrative, right?
Right.
So even from the get-go, like, if it's like, well, I'm going to make a video game, and you're thinking too much about, uh, well, I want to make money or be successful on whatever superficial terms, instead of like, I have this really cool idea and I want to share it with people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
is, I think I still apply to games. Uh, Maybe even more so because the amount of effort and time it takes to make games is so much more than music.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know, say you write a couple songs, like I had this when I moved to Vancouver, after I finished high school, as I thought like, oh, I want to be a full-time musician. I went and played some shows and did stuff, and I realized I really didn't like it, and so then I just stopped. And it was really easy. I was starting to get depressed and stuff, and I just stopped. It
Mm-hmm.
was really easy just to be like, nah, this is a dumb idea. Uh, and that only took like less than a year to come to that conclusion. Whereas when you do a game, I worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week ish for 2 years straight. And it's not something that you could just quit halfway through because you put all this time and money into it, that you can't just like learn the lesson halfway through, in a sense, right?
Right.
So
Right. I feel like with streaming and with making videos, it's segmented into individual little like individual streams. Like I can do a stream and then realize that's not what I want to be doing, or I can make a video and be like that's not what I want to be doing. And then you can have a push and pull where you can be like, well, this isn't necessarily what I want to be doing, but here's where the money is. So you can like try to decide how much of each thing you want to kind of compartmentalize. And in that way, I like it because you can build like a platform where you can do the things you're passionate about that nobody gives a shit about at the same time to the same people as the things that people will actually flock for. So I
Yeah,
like that.
I think you're in a really good position. And I like how you frame that. Is that like every time you release something, you can evaluate like what you think about it, how you feel about it, and then you can look at the results, and you can just kind of each time that you release
Yeah,
something, you can kind of just have this ongoing discussion with yourself about what you're doing,
yeah,
which I think will be a lot much more helpful to try and avoid the same issue. Because mine was like I just had like 2 or 3 years there where I was just had to get this thing done. And there was no
mm,
time for self-reflection because there was so much to get done. And it was only after I got done that I really started thinking about it and came to the realizations that led me to make the last album, which is my favorite, maybe my favorite thing I've ever done.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever looked at it, but the Google Analytics stuff is so fun and in depth to look at. But it's obvious to me if I really a really easy way to build a whole YouTube channel is to just make nothing but videos about Christian. Um, yeah. Uh, I think I have some things that I rushed that video, so there are a couple more things I want to say about it. I might make another video, but I don't really want to just keep talking about Christian for yeah, no.
That's the cool thing is that you can avoid like pigeonholing yourself into something too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like that like that would be really uh I don't know, unmotivating, dismotivating. What's the demotivating is the word I'm looking
Demoting, yeah.
for. Yeah, where like you know the Gino guy who's doing that Christian series. It's like 69 parts at this point, 70 parts, and
Yeah.
you spend all that time and you're successful in this niche, and then you decide like, okay, I want to do a video about something completely different, and then
Mhm.
like nobody like if nobody cares, and then you just have to go, well, if I want to be successful, I just have to do videos on Christian. I can never do anything else. And that would be a
Right.
bummer,
Well,
right?
that's all such an illusion with the YouTube stuff. So, it isn't that so if you're doing nothing but videos about Christian or whatever, and you got like this documentary, um, you can get people over to those other things. You just have to be like so like if you do one video about like one thing, like it's very common for people to have like one video that gets like a shit ton of views and then the next one doesn't. Um, so it's not like um it's literally him making like 5,000 videos about Christian and getting a shit ton of views on them, and then it's the same as making one video. It's not like he's pigeonholed himself. He is in the same spot to grow the other stuff. It just makes you feel that way. It makes you feel like you're tied to it. You don't have to feel like you're tied to it. Um,
But yeah, that's the important thing is like how you think of it. Because if
yeah.
you just follow, if I don't know about his other channels or other stuff he does, but I can definitely see situations where people look at their YouTube data and they just see like, well, I just have to do this because this is the only thing that gets views or gets any of that kind of success, right?
Hmm.
And then they're just stuck. They mentally feel like they're just stuck in that spot instead of going and doing other stuff. I mean, I feel like Game Grumps in a way are kind of stuck doing this because I remember Aaron used to do a bunch of animations and then he just stopped doing them because they were too much effort and they weren't as successful as just doing regular Game Grumps. But I feel like a lot of the Game Grumps fans just feel like they're just putting out the same video and it's not.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, I think he's in a great position to now he's in a better position than he was at the beginning to do the animations.
Yeah, absolutely.
His mind is set on the money. But like if he's already making enough money, you can make the animations. What he could do is he could put the animations in the videos. Like say like you had like a YouTube channel, and you want to start making music. Just be like fuck it, like and like start playing music in your videos and shit, and like so you can hybrid them and then cross it over that way. So there's a lot of potential there.
No, absolutely. But that's where you have to make the you have to in that sense that person in that situation is reclaiming their creativity, right?
Right.
It kind of goes
So
back to that same thing is you have to make that mental switch of just I
yeah.
want to do this because I want to do it and I'll figure out the success later down the line if that happens, right?
Right. Right. So how do we lose it? So we lose it by focusing on the money,
I,
focusing, making it
I,
like a job.
I don't know if it has to necessarily be money, but like with music, for example, for music throughout all of almost the history was just live performances or writing it down like with staff notation and stuff, and then other people play it, and then vinyl came along, and the model shifted from live performances to you practice and you record an album and release it, and then you play live performances to support sales of the vinyl. And then, Napster came along and that kind of shifted everything. And now we're in like the era of big data, which is the decisions you make as an artist can be totally different than what you would have made 100 years ago because you have just unlimited amounts of data to stare at all day, 24/7. And you can start making decisions off of that. And I think there's some people who find a lot of success doing that, but I can also imagine there's a lot of people who, without even thinking about what this data means or how they should be looking at it, they just follow the algorithm and follow the data, and that may not lead them to a place that they're happy with, right?
Right, of course, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the algorithm stuff is really crazy. The more I've started thinking about it and maybe think about like how that might change entire mediums and industries, it's pretty crazy to think that just some code running on YouTube servers or TikTok
Yeah.
servers or whatever is just completely changing the landscape of creative mediums.
Oh yeah, it's already done it. I mean, and
Yeah.
it's fun to engage with it too. Like it's a really fun puzzle to try to solve too. Uh,
Yeah, like I'm really excited to see what you do because we're homies and
yeah.
you're doing this thing and it's like I'm like really excited to see what you try and do, what you experiment with, and just seeing how it goes. And
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be really cool.
How do you feel about Kojima? Okay,
Well,
I think Kojima.
Death Stranding is my favorite game, so I feel pretty good about
Yeah.
Kojima.
I think Kojima is a good example for what we're talking about. He went against the grain of the company he was working for, Konami, for quite a while, and they put up with it. But he did shit that was contrary to their marketing and sales teams and shit. And he broke the mold and he broke the rules, and that's probably why he got fired. And or I don't know about literally fired, but I don't know how the fuck they whatever they called it. And now he's making his own thing, and he's just doing whatever he wants. And there's a lot of haters that are like, "Oh, this is stupid. It's just a walking simulator." But he's doing what he wants to do and making the game he wants to make, and that makes it better.
Yeah, yeah. He even broke the mold really early on because the second game he made was the original Metal Gear, and it was already in development. It was supposed to be like an action game, and because the MSX computer was so limited in what it could do, he couldn't really have like a high action game on that platform. So he switched it to be stealth. So instead of all the action, it's more about sneaking past people, and that was a lot easier for the MSX to handle from a technical limitations standpoint. So even just from the earliest days, he was just thinking outside the box and being, "This is what I'm going to do, and I'm gonna follow that." And I think that the like the devil's bargain or kind of thing you could think of it like is if you follow what you really want to do, there's a chance that you'll be successful at it and that's what you can do, but there's a higher chance that you're not going to be successful at it at
Yeah,
all, right? Whereas
yeah,
if you try and follow what has already been proven and what the marketplace has kind of nudged at over time, you might find more success. You still are likely to fail, but you might find more success, but then you're stuck in a situation where you're doing something that isn't you. You're just following
Right.
whatever the climate of that medium is at the time, essentially.
Right. I feel like you kind of need both. Like Kojima, had a bit of like he genuinely like the whole Kojima quirkiness and like his like corny action movie ness. You know what I'm talking about? Like, yeah, like that is very mainstream, but also very unique to him. So it really fits. It allows him to kind of do both because he's appealing he's doing mass appeal when he does that shit. Um, in a lot of ways, and people make fun of him for it. But I mean, I don't know.
You can follow what you want to do and have it cross over with mainstream appeal at the same time too, though. So
Yeah,
one of the things I think of is Metallica's Black Album. To me, that is there's no there's it's to me it's clear that that's the album the band really wanted to make, and they also got help from Bob Rock of getting mainstream appeal at the same time, and so both of those like collided at the same time, you know.
mm,
But yeah, so it doesn't have you don't have to choose between selling out and potentially making money or just being a starving artist. You know, like there's definitely
yeah,
can be overlap between the two.
yeah. So so now you're making music again, and you had stopped making music. What was the feeling of trying to make music after that? After you burnt out on making that video game?
Yeah,
He did make
so
it. He did make it, and he did finish it.
yeah, yeah, it's on Steam and stuff.
It's called Towards the Pantheon.
Yeah, that came out in 2018, and the soundtrack for it came out in 2018. So that was the last thing I had released, and then it was this year in March that I put out an album called Broken Systems. And so it took 4 years to put together. And the reason it's called Broken Systems is because it's 4 years of random stem files or like audio samples and just trying to make music and not being happy with it, and trying to make music and not being motivated and just disliking it and not having any fun over 4 years. And then eventually got to the point where I kind of started figuring it out. And I was like, oh, hey, I'm starting to get excited. I'm starting to enjoy this. I'm starting to feel like what it was before all of this to an
Yeah,
extent. And so the whole album is just 4 years of just random crap. All like just if you listen to it with this context, the album totally makes sense, and it's just completely broken. It's just all this stuff cobbled together over 4 years, but it's something that I'm really proud of. And it's funny too. Like nobody's listened to it. I have a
I don't
couple
think I
songs. I
haven't.
have
I
a
haven't
couple.
listened to it. I want to listen to it, but haven't.
There's a couple songs I have on YouTube that's, it's got views in the tens of thousands and stuff like this. And I think the Broken Systems tracks are like a dozen views per song or per video because I made no effort to promote it at all. I just released it and I just didn't care because it was just for me to have fun at the end
Hmm.
of the day. Um, so yeah,
That's a cool trait about Connor that I think about, and I don't know if I admire it about you or not. It's just very you have a very strong trait where you don't care about feedback, or you don't not necessarily don't care about feedback. You don't like want to like he talks about he doesn't like when people tell him they like his stuff. He doesn't like hearing about it. He doesn't. It just makes him feel like weird, and he just want. I think there's something to that's something admirable, probably.
I think I could break that down a little bit more. Is that when
Okay,
I
yeah.
was really unhappy, is I cared way too much about what most people might have thought. So like if you want to make more commercial music, you have to think of like what does the average person want to hear
Hmm.
because then you can make what they and then you're more likely to be successful. But when I was a teenager and what I've kind of come back to now at 31 is that like I care what you think. I care what my family thinks. Like I'm visiting my family right now.
Hmm.
I care what my other friends think, but that's pretty much it. If I sent you a song and you listened to it and you went like, I think the drums are too loud
Right.
here, I might disagree with you, but I'd be like, well, I value Seth's opinion. I'm going to listen to it and give that some thought, and maybe I will adjust the drum sound or whatever.
Hmm.
But if I go for a walk, I'm gonna go probably go out for a walk tonight after we do this stream. And if some person on the street thinks that the drums are too loud, I don't know who they are. I don't know what their values are.
Mm.
And I don't really care. It's so that's you have to be specific about who you want to listen to, I think.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I definitely have a good way to think about that. I do the same thing. I certain people I care about, but also it's so there's certain people who like I like let in like emotionally, but also then there's like any like random person like commenting on YouTube or something. It's like um I just I value my own judge. I think that I'm smart and I value my judgment. And so, like, if someone says something contrary to what I'm like, people will say the thing. What is an example? Um, People will say, like, I just got this fisheye lens or whatever, and I like it. Somebody will say, "Oh, it's stupid," or like I don't know. They'll give some reason, and it's stupid for the very reason that I like it. They'll like say, "Oh, it's like and it's so like I'm just like, "Oh, so like you're just a moron. You don't understand what I'm doing. I don't care." Like I find it easy to not care about um people. I just think I know what I'm doing. I trust myself. I think that's it. You got to trust yourself.
Yeah. I think that's huge. I think you nailed it on the head. And you not only trust yourself, but like you're not doing it. If that person doesn't get it, then you're not doing it for that person either.
Right. But I do like so someone in chat just said I relate to that. I don't show anyone most of my art. I don't mind like I'm very confident in my ability to dismiss people that I just disagree with or like disagree with because of um not like I like disagree with the ideas or like anything. I just have a different opinion of what I'm trying to do. And so I'm able to see if like this person doesn't understand what I'm trying to do and I don't need to let that in and control what I'm doing, you know. But if you get put stuff out there, I find you're able to find people that do understand what you're trying to do, and that's really cool. And I also value the people that don't understand what I'm trying to do because they're seeing it, and even if they don't understand it or like it, they're being exposed to it, which is I think that's cool too. I like the haters. I like the people that don't agree with my decisions. I like having them around. I slowly they start to come around. You know, I think too. Or
Well, I
even
think
if they don't,
especially
the longer a hater is around, it's a beautiful thing. Like if a hater sticks around for like a year, like they start off vicious, but like towards the end, they'll just be like a constant critic. But like it's a different relationship. A hater that's hated you for a year, you know, it's like yeah, this is shit. This like, but like they're there. There's like a intimate relationship going on. It's different.
yeah, that kind of goes back to like you know, like would you rather have 1,000 people who like what you do and they all want to be Patreon subscribe supporters? Or would you rather have 100,000 people and they're just kind of like, oh, I like that one thing, I don't really care, and then none of them care enough to like support what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but in trying to get down to like that, the 1,000 people who really like what you do enough to like want to support you and like in that kind of stuff, like you have to have made something of substance and it has to be genuine, right?
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm thinking about this guy that someone showed me. I forget what his name is. I should just check it real quick. But he does like this series on YouTube called Walking and Talking, and but he's more known for see if I can see it. His name
Is that
is
is that
Benjamin
Hegel?
Bennett. Benjamin Bennett. This is definitely a guy who just does whatever the fuck he wants. And he's famous for doing these live streams where he just sits there and stares at the camera and smiles for 2 hours. Um, and and like he does nothing else. And so the walking and talking is like he has like these very long pauses and then like I think it's obvious like he's on some kind of drugs and shit. But like he'll like start like talking like he'll just like follow his train of thought and he's like got some interesting thoughts, but he's doing it for himself clearly. Um, but he's a very interesting guy. Like his content is definitely not for everyone, but he's got like such a big following because he's just doing what he wants to do.
That
Um,
kind of reminds me of the report of the week, review bro.
Review Bra, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
like
Review Bra is a genius because um, because the content he makes is something everybody can relate to. Reviewing the fast food, like it's not like he's reviewing um like a capture card or like a light bulb or some shit that only like 50 people know. He's reviewing something literally every single person like in the whole like most of the world or whatever like can relate to. Even if that fast food place isn't in your area, you still fucking can think about it, you know. Yeah.
everybody's had that moment where they get like, do you think McDonald's fries or Wendy's fries are better? Everybody's had that kind of those discussions with their friends, and he just picked up on it. You know,
Yeah, but he makes it into something else.
yeah, he's one of my favorite YouTubers. I think he's basically the best.
Yeah, I think I just got a super chat.
Oh, dude, those paintings behind you are rad.
Thanks. Start doing some painting streams. I need to fucking figure out um wireless headphones so I can walk around. Because now that I got this fisheye and stuff, like you can see my whole room, and so I can walk around my room and do shit. And that's what I really want. I could have been laying on my bed talking to you like while like laying on my bed. I could bring my mic over there. Like I was ready to do shit like that, but it'll happen. It'll happen. That's what I want to be doing. Walking around my room while I do this. It'd be so cool. It's gonna be happening. It's gonna be very intimate and engaging. You see me just hanging out in my room, like not just sitting here in front of the camera, but yeah.
I like all the weird things you do. Like you're under the bed recently, and then you had the other one where you had the ooze you're pouring on yourself.
Oh yeah, I was ladling the ooze. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need to do more
That's
of
awesome.
those too. Yeah. Did you see the graveyard of feminist opinions?
Is that
um
the one where you had like the messages in the bottles in the
yes,
thing?
yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I did see
Yeah.
that.
That was a lot of work. Um
Yeah, that was awesome.
all right, so you recently uh flipped your car.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, this guy like a week ago like flipped his car. Um, I mean it's interesting to talk about, but
It's
it's
just it is. It
uh
actually is.
like how did that actually end up flipping? Like I saw the picture, like it looks fucked up. Like I can't believe you're fine. He's fine.
Yeah, I was driving to go and visit some buddies to play Dungeons and Dragons, and driving through the highway in the mountains, and there was just a patch of ice, and I hit the ice, and a second later, I was upside down in my car. Um, it just went off like the side of the road, and then it went into the ditch, and it like flipped over. And luckily, no other cars or people were involved or anything like that. And I literally don't have a scratch. The only thing in retrospect that's kind of funny is like my back and my shoulders and my neck are really sore, and the main reason is because I was hanging upside down, and my first thought when I realized like, oh, I'm in a car that's upside down, like this isn't what the way the car is supposed to be. In shock, right?
hmm
Um, was to undo my seatbelt and crawl out of the car. And so since I was panicking and in shock, I undid the seatbelt and I didn't give a second of thought that like once you undo the seatbelt, gravity is going to pull you down to the roof of the car, right? And so I
Yeah,
just slammed my neck and shoulders into the roof of the car, unplugging myself like without bracing myself at all. And
yeah. You
I
sh-
wish I had a video of that so I could just loop it over and over.
yeah. Are you sure you didn't get a concussion? Because like you say you were in shock, but I had a concussion from just getting rear-ended once, and I don't know. I'm worried about your brain. I mean you don't sound like you have a concussion right now.
Yeah, my mom's a nurse, a
Oh.
retired nurse, so uh, that's why I'm visiting family right now because I don't have a car. So, um, yeah, no, I don't think I have a concussion, and she would definitely send me to the hospital if she thought there was anything going on.
hmm
but you mean the weird thing is I went for the first jog since it happened like 2 days ago, and I love
Hmm.
going out for a good jog.
Hmm.
And uh, I'm going for a jog, and I'm almost just like crying because it's like, what if the last jog before that had been the last jog? Or like when I
Yeah.
talk to family and friends or listen to a favorite song or something, it's like I can't believe I get to because I could have died, but it's like I can't
Yeah.
believe I get to listen to this song again. Uh,
Yeah.
it's a very strange feeling, very
Yeah.
grateful and thankful feeling.
It also puts into perspective just following what you want to be doing with your art and stuff. Like
Yeah.
imagine you died today and you hadn't been like it would be so much better had you had made this album that you're really passionate about that you're glad you made. Like it's so much better to have done that in your life, you know. Like what if you just spent all you just became an accountant and you just racked up the money and I don't know, whatever the fuck you just did. Not a great life, I don't think. I think being Sigma grind set, I'm not very fond of the whole Sigma grind set.
No, no,
No.
no. I totally yeah. Like if you just had a shallow, hollow life and then that was it, and
Yeah.
you never had like a little redemption arc or something, you know?
Yeah. I'm feeling it. You started getting me on to the anti Sigma grind set mentality, the anti grind set, the Sigma. Um, what's the opposite of grinding? I don't know. This Sigma, um, whatever.
The opposite of Sigma grind set is play banjo.
Play banjo. Yeah, play banjo
Yeah.
kazooie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was not feeling it when you were going against it because I was deep in that mentality. Um, but
The reason I'm
it
so against it is because I was deep into it too.
yeah.
So that's why I know so much about it. That's why I meme so much about it. Is because of that because like I told you about like when I graduated university and I broke up with the girl and there was a bunch of other stuff going on. That was the same time that I was on I think it was on Audible and I can't remember which book it was, but there was a book that was on sale for like $2 and it was one of those Sigma grind set books. And I was like, oh, the way it's advertised is like this book will solve all of your problems and
Mm-hmm.
you can have a handle on life and you're a god now or whatever, right? The stupid stuff. And if you're unhappy, you're the customer. You're the person that they want to
Mm-hmm.
buy the thing because you'll believe it, right?
Yeah, it's like I feel like the principle of the Sigma grind set is the best way to take care of yourself is to stop caring about yourself. You know, and care about whatever we tell you to care about. And even though and they give you things to care about that are really hard to achieve, just focus on this goal and don't think about yourself and just, you know, as soon as you get that goal, you'll be happy, you know. And
Yeah.
if you do get that goal and you're not happy, well then you're not doing it right, you know. You need to work harder, you know. So,
And even if you do hit that goal, okay, well now you have to make the goal even bigger and go to the next thing. Like you don't deserve to ever be happy or ever have a
yeah,
moment of relaxation.
you can't even do it cuz at least with the red pill mindset, like the red pill I think they have a similar like it's all fucking the same, but they have a similar attitude of you know, you work hard and you become rich to get the girl, right? Um but with the Sigma grind set,
Simps.
yeah, but like with the Sigma grind set, it's like you work hard to get the girl, but also like you don't need the girl and you shouldn't care about the girl and you need 10 girls. So even when you get the girl, you can't just be happy and have become a family man. You need 10 girls now, you know. So
Yeah.
there's no it's just
Like Andrew Tate brags about how he has like 20 girlfriends or whatever, and
yeah.
it's like, don't you want to have somebody in your life that you love and loves you? Like, why wouldn't you? Why would that be the bad thing?
Yeah.
The
I
reason it's the bad thing is because if you were happy, they wouldn't be able to sell their crap to you. So that's why it's the bad thing.
I Andrew Tate is so fake to me because like on all of his like videos and stuff, he's always got like smoking a cigar, like a glass of, oh, yeah, yes, and yes, I got it, and he's got that voice like that, or whatever. What the fuck? He's got this
Top
weird.
G.
Yeah, yeah. But like I've never seen in any videos of him I ever have seen. I've never seen him smile. And he probably has a couple times, but I've never seen it, and I've never seen him like laugh or be goofy or like do anything fun. You know, just it's awful. Like,
It's one of those things where like with some of these like hustle culture Sigma grind set people is that like especially so a lot of them say that they were really unhappy growing up, and it's kind of just makes me wonder if like they've never actually been happy or content, so they don't know what they're missing out on, so they think they are happy and content, but they have no idea that there could be a different way to live their life.
right?
That's kind of what I
They're
wonder.
all kind of against hedonism, but really, I think they're really embroiled in hedonism in a certain way.
Yeah, like with fancy cars.
Yeah,
Or like the meaning of life is to get money so that you can have cars and girls and all this stuff.
yeah, yeah,
But but that's so stupid.
yeah,
If you like just if you like if you had all that money, like you could just enjoy making the videos that you want to make, and you could just go and live your life the way that you actually just want to. You wouldn't live a life proving to other people that you're happy.
yeah.
That's weird.
That's awful. Yeah. You ever heard of
That's,
Sneeko?
I've never heard of sneak up. No.
So he's not quite Andrew Tate, but he's got those same attitudes. I think Andrew Tate has said stuff like women get old, like just like chasing new women gets old and you stop caring. I don't know. Maybe there's hope for him, like slowly like figuring it out. I don't know.
I don't know because if he's like a sociopath or a narcissist or something, then he's not gonna. If he can come to better conclusions, he's not gonna do it by himself.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I'd like to think that you know he could, but I'd like to think anybody could. I
I'm
guess.
just so curious what he looks like when he's being goofy because he's like such a phony on the camera. Like obviously goofs off sometimes. Like what the fuck? Like and maybe he's actually just like a sociopath narcissist and his goofing off is just being mean to people. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I just wonder. I wonder if these people they're enabled to do what they do because they have so much money, right?
Yeah.
And there's no incentive for them to ever be reflective or change because I mean, there's no incentive. So why? Like, there's no reason to. And so I don't. Maybe he just never is goofy, or like he never like that is actually who he is. He's just
That's
being himself,
that's awful.
and there's no behind the scenes like,
He's a
oh, the
half.
camera's off.
He's like a fourth of a person. You know,
Yeah,
like that's awful.
and it's extra sad. I think it's extra sad because there's a lot of I think a lot of like young men who are
They want to cut off
don't
3/4 of their self to be like Andrew Tate.
because they think that will solve whatever is in here
Yeah,
that they want to get
just
rid of.
just get rid of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the most healing attitude I ever discovered was, and I don't know if you'll agree with me, but I think that um, there is no escape. Um, there's
I'd
no
agree with
there's
that.
no escape from the terror. You know, and you have to just like be buddies with the terror.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
You would agree
that's
because you're a metalhead. That's a kind of a metal thing to say, right?
it is that's pretty black metal, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean that's the like you know I'm big into reading philosophy and stuff, and that's kind of the conclusion. Um, that's kind of the conclusion aberration is whether you go like the Marcus Aurelius Stoicism or you go like the Albert Camus Sisyphus thing. It's just that you can't escape it. You just have to figure out how to be content within existence
How would
in a
you
sense.
distinguish like stoicism from the Sigma grind set or the Andrew Tate mentality?
Yes, Stoicism has nothing to do with Sigma grind set stuff.
Right.
But
Can you? Because I know you like stoicism a lot. So
Yeah, the sad thing though is that a lot of internet marketers, kind of like Andrew Tate or like Gary Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone, like those types of people,
Hmm.
have misappropriated stoicism into like a modern stoicism that's very kind of they sell it as if it's like a shortcut to success. So it becomes a Sigma grindset tool, which it's not supposed to be. I think is really sad. But stoicism is just the idea that there's things that are in your control. So like how you think about something or how you
Hmm.
treat somebody else, or just those basic kinds of things, and then everything else that's outside of your control, you can't do anything about it. You can't change the time of day or the weather, or you can be driving down a road and you can be as responsible as you want, but you'll hit a patch of ice and flip your car.
Hmm.
Like things just happen in life, but like how that's the idea of stoicism is just like it's like how the only thing that's in your control is how you react to it. So I could have flipped my car and I could have lost my mind, and then I'm talking with insurance people and I could have been yelling at them and just going crazy or
Hmm.
whatever, but the thing that is in my control is how I handle the situation and try to do it the
Right.
best I can.
Well, the thing that I don't agree with stoicism, but maybe you'll tell me I'm wrong about my impression, is in that thing where I agree with what you're saying generally. The only thing you can control is how you respond. But a lot of people that I talk to that are really into the stoicism thing, I think that they have this attitude, or not. They believe that the only thing you can control is how you respond. Extends to you can control how you feel, but I don't think you can control how you feel. I feel like so you flip your car, like it's gonna freak you the fuck out. You can't just decide not to be freaked out, but you can decide, okay, I'm freaked out. What am I gonna do? Like you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, but I don't think you can just decide not to be freaked out. Like I think that is cutting off part of yourself, like the Andrew Tate thing. Like just saying like,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm not freaked out. I'm strong. You know.
Yeah. So like in the English language, if you think of a stoic with like a lowercase s, like somebody's a stoic, you think of this person that doesn't have any emotions. But
Hmm.
the real stoicism is like if you go back to the Greeks and the Romans and everything, they're always saying that like it's totally okay for you to feel however you feel because it's your body and your mind having a reaction to something. It's but it's just exactly like you said, it's what you do with that that matters. So you can be as mad as you
Yeah.
want because that's a legitimate emotion, but if you go and punch a wall or do something stupid, that's on you, right?
Yes.
I think a
Okay.
lot of people mess that up. They kind of
Every
think like,
time I
oh, I have to
talk
be in control of how I feel.
Yes, every time I talk to you about stoicism, I'm like, okay, I'm a stoic, absolutely. And then I go and talk to other people, and then they're like, they get the extreme wrong impression. Like, there's so many people that just wanna that believe that your emotions are voluntary or something. You can control it. It's just, I don't think you
Yeah.
have any control of your emotions at all. So
No.
here's someone in
I
chat.
mean, I mean, maybe. Sorry.
Oh no, you can continue. Continue.
I was just gonna say, there's like maybe there's a tiny bit of control you can have. Like you can kind of like you say you're really mad and you can actively calm yourself down so that you don't just make yourself even madder. Like you can
Regulate.
do a little bit. Yeah, you can regulate a bit, right?
Hmm.
But I think that ties into like the modern stoicism, the kind of internet marketing stoicism, is that you're going to become like some sick cyber ninja and you're completely in control, you know? And it's just
Yeah.
that that's if you go read the Greeks and the Romans, the original stuff, there's nothing in there saying like you can't be mad. It's like, yeah, you should totally be mad because that's an emotional reaction. But what you do with it is what matters, right?
Right. Yeah. I hate that. There's like so many fucking vicious memes like targeted at like just like cope. I hate the cope meme because literally like basically every single thing you do is coping. So when you tell someone that they're coping just to dismiss them, it's like of course I'm coping, but like what's wrong with that? And it forces you in a position where you have to like self-analyze yourself and you're like, wait, what's wrong? I'm coping. Okay, then what am I coping about? But why is it bad? And like yeah, it's like if you want to tell me I'm coping, tell me I'm coping from what and to what effect and why is that bad? Like fucking someone just
Yeah,
said stoicism is just serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah. So a lot of that aspect of Christianity was appropriated from like the Roman and Greek Stoics.
Hmm.
So definitely.
So how did Marcus Aurelius feel about making art?
That's a good question. I don't know. I've read a lot about him, and I've got this book by Frank McLean
Hmm.
that I'm going through. It's a pretty good solid read. Um, but I don't know, he never specifically kind of talks about art that I'm aware of. Because he did write the meditations, but I don't think he would consider that art. I think he just considered that, random scrawls on some papyrus or whatever.
Hmm.
Whereas we kind of revere it now, thousands of years
Interesting.
later.
I want to go back in time and hear what he fucking has to say about art. Well, what
Like
was
I
art?
think my fate.
What was art in the ancient Greek times? Because it's always different. What we call art is the European idea of art from the Renaissance era.
See, I don't have a strong art background, so I can't add like value to that conversation because I just don't know too
Okay,
much about that.
I think this adds to the whole conversation about creativity. Maybe it's just interesting. So
Oh yeah,
so like in different parts of the world. So now that we kind of have a global culture, the idea of art that's prevailing is the European, basically Renaissance era, Enlightenment era art idea, which is that an artist expresses themselves and makes the thing, um, basically whatever. Um, in like, uh, it's interesting. I watched this documentary on that changed throughout time. So before then, most of what we call art wasn't done because an artist was expressing themselves. It was like it was craft. The someone would build a sculpture for a king, and it was advertisement. It's like or advertisement or religion. It was like a lot of it, basically most of it all was for religion. Um, and so like I watched a documentary about in Africa, we especially during those times when we started colonizing people and like spreading around the world, we would like take art from other places and like put it in like big like galleries and stuff and we're like, oh, look at this. But in a lot of these like places they went they didn't even have a concept for art. So like they would have like a gallery of like African masks and stuff, but to those people those were like for a utility for their religion, and they didn't like see it in the same way at all. It's like it would be like taking American dollar bills or Canadian milk bags or whatever the fuck you use, and like putting it in like a frame and being like, look at this beautiful art, this exotic American made. Ooh, look at this face they drew on it, and it's like, no, that's not art. That's a dollar fucking bill. You know what I mean? Like, so it's the same thing.
yeah.
So
But, like again, I don't know too much about that, so I can't comment on it. But one thing that I did find really interesting is that this philosopher Byung-Chul Han. I just got his book, The Philosophy of Zen Buddhism. Haven't started it yet, but I'm a big. I don't know if I'm a, like I would consider myself a fan of his work because some of his stuff I don't agree with, obviously, but like I really enjoy reading his stuff.
mhm.
Um, he had a book called I think it's called Deconstruction in Shanghai or something, but it was the idea that uh, so like in the West, we think of like an original piece of art is the original piece of art. And if
Mhm.
somebody makes a duplicate of it, it's a duplicate of the original piece of art. But in Chinese culture and history, um, whatever has the most history attached to it is the original piece of art. And so if you go and look at like uh, a lot of Chinese art, and they have those big red stamps all over them,
Mhm.
in the West, we would think like you're disgracing the art by adding these stamps, but to them, that stamp adds more history to whatever piece of art, like whatever the piece of art is,
Mm.
and that becomes part of the art. And
Ooh,
there was an
I like
example
that.
in there's an example of the book that there was a famous case where the original piece of art went missing, and somebody made a duplicate of it and passed it off as the original piece of art. And then eventually they did find the original piece of art, but because of how their culture views art, they thought the duplicate that had more history now attached to it was the original piece of art. And then the question becomes, if you have a building and you like say you
Okay.
make a house, and the house over time deteriorates, and then you start fixing up the house, but you're changing the house from what it originally was. Is the house that the story about like if you
The
change all
boat.
the pieces of the ship? Yeah.
Yeah.
So which one is the original? And the West will go like whatever the original, or the literal original thing was,
Hmm.
is the thing, and then over there they think of it more like a kind of transitory,
Right.
whatever has the
I
most
can.
history or character.
That aligns very heavily with my philosophy of art because I have um, I put a lot of importance on something I call context. I think everybody would call it context, but I think about context as in like very important. So something I've talked about um, is death of the artist, and so like it's okay to have your unique experience with art, but I think that you can't you can separate the art from the artist, but to actually get the full scope, the artist is part of it, and because the artist is the context, and the hardest thing to make in art is context. Um, you can't like to build context around the art, like there's a lot of music that is only as good as it is because of the context around it, or a movie because of the context around it. The more you know about it, the better it'll be, and you can't just make that by snapping your fingers. That is like a hard thing to make happen.
Yeah.
That's why I think drama content is so popular, because it is context. It's just context. And I think stuff that's just context is also not perfect. I think you should have a robust amount, layers of something to art. But yeah, I really appreciate that philosophy that you're describing there. Um, I think that the focusing on the original boat as if that's the only one that matters, like that's where like all of our like um ideas about like rights and like copyrights and stuff come from, and I think it's really stupid and holds us back a lot.
Well, it's funny because I was just going to mention that at the start of the book, you just talked about rights. Is at the start of the book starts off with like in English we have human rights, right?
Hmm.
Um, but in Chinese, if you translate that, the word rights is something that like when we think of a right, we think it's like it's a finality. It's a how to, it's set in stone. It's a right. There is no deviation from this thing, right?
Hmm.
But for them, the word in the like human rights, the way you translate it, the word rights is something that's malleable. Like when you think of like Lady Justice and she has her scales and she's going back and forth, right? They think
Hmm.
of the term right, apparently, and it's in their language as something that's malleable. It's something that adjusts in context to everything else going on around it. So
That's
even
so
just the
much
way that,
smarter.
but even just the way that we're born into languages and paradigms will affect how you view art or how you view
Hmm.
society and things like that. It's super interesting. I never knew that.
I might be interested in reading that, but also I just can't read because I'm basically retarded.
I don't know if you read too much philosophy. I think you kind of become retarded, to be
Oh yeah, I've
honest.
seen that too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about our
If you go if you go
axioms.
too if you go too far down the rabbit hole, you become just as dumb as the person who never went down the rabbit hole, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what do we tell to peeps, to someone that might be watching, that uh, feels like they have no voice, and they're what, how would you describe the feeling of not reclaiming your creativity? What is the opposite? What is the state of before that? What would you call that?
State when you have it, when you feel like you're working
No,
towards something you're
when you
really
don't have
passionate
it,
about.
what would you call it when you don't have it?
I mean, for me, it's just full on depression. That's what I would call
Depression.
it. Yeah.
Depression. Okay,
Oh
then
yeah.
maybe then so in that case, if that's what we're calling depression, So what's the first step
I mean, if you're,
for
I mean,
you? It might be different
yeah,
for different people.
yeah, like yeah, I think it's different. I don't like I generally don't like just in general the idea of like univariable analysis. So
Yeah,
like
yeah. But like,
it, like
I think
it,
that I like I think that that goes without saying. But that's why I said for you. But for
yeah.
me, when I say that, it goes without saying. But I think the best way to like my opinion on dating advice is, someone has a like needs help and you give them dating advice. That's not the way to do it. The way to do dating advice is to share stories, and the more stories you hear, then you can use that to analyze for yourself. Like this might not be the way for you, but the more stories you hear, the more you can learn. So like, what's the first step for you to get out of that depression and into like what we're calling like reclaiming your creativity? If that's how you get out of your depression, what's the first step?
Well, the great thing about what you just described is that if there's like a plan on how to do something, it's univariable. But if everybody shares their data, then you can start doing multivariable analysis,
Yes,
right? So
yes,
yeah, that's you put it really well. Um, I mean, for me, that's it's just admitting that what you're doing is wrong.
that's
Like,
hard. That's really hard.
yes,
Yes, yeah.
yeah,
I recently went through
that's
that
really
too,
hard.
and then everybody will tell, you know what, the thing that makes that hard. This might be a generalization, but it's probably very true for most people. If you are admitting that what you're doing is wrong to yourself, the people around you are not gonna want you to do that. They're gonna tell you that your new choice is also wrong. They're gonna be like, no, you're wrong for doing this, and it's
Yeah,
gonna be hard to resist that and to stay strong, but you can.
it's also one of those things too, where like if you're going to make a change, there's also the possibility that it could get worse. And so I think that a lot of it's like especially like if somebody loves you and you go like, "Hey, I'm going to make this big change." They have an incentive to kind of not want you to make that change because it could be worse and they don't want you to be worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they,
Right.
and then of course there's if there's people who dislike you, uh they don't
Then
want you to
they'll.
change because if they know you're unhappy, they don't want you to change, right?
Yeah.
So it's tricky. But
It's
I
not
guess
that
that
simple, but it's because they're
I-
insecure and they want to stoke your insecurity so that they can feel better about themselves.
but that kind of goes back to like you have to do it for yourself. You can't do it for other people,
Right. So
or for a very select few people.
how do you know if what you're doing is wrong? How do you know?
Like if I pick up a guitar and I'm like it's weird to describe. Like nowadays, if I can pick up my guitar and like plug it into the amp, and it's quiet in my place except for me and my guitar, and I'll play for 2 hours and I'll just forget everything. I'll forget that the world exists, and I'll forget
Mm-hmm.
that there was somebody pissed me off yesterday, and I got to worry about this thing next week, and whatever. Like it just all goes away. That's a sign that something's really good.
Mm-hmm. I'm just
Um,
checking to see
so
if there's
it's,
super chats when I did this. By the way, I'm not ignoring you.
yeah,
Okay.
no, no problem.
Okay.
Uh,
Sorry.
yeah, and then one of the ways to tell that is wrong is that that doesn't happen. Like you pick up guitar and you play something and you go like, I don't think that's good enough because right away it's like you're judging, or at least for me, it's like I'm not playing to enjoy it. I'm judging what I'm doing from somebody else's ears in a weird
Yes.
vicarious way, right?
I've got a really good technique for that specific thing. So it's good to be able to like analyze yourself a little bit, like so you can like grow, but also
Yeah.
you need to just enjoy it and like embrace it. So something that helped me grow as a pianist, playing on the piano, is recording. So I'll just zone out and play, but I'll record the whole thing, and then I'll play it back and then think about it, and then oh, like what am I learning from this? But while I'm doing it, I'm just focusing on playing.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing too with my guitar. Is I'll set the
It's a
microphone up on
good,
the amp and I'll just do the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's really good. I mean, and I guess the other way is just like if you don't want to even pick up the guitar or the piano,
Hmm.
like if it's something that's supposed to bring you joy and fulfillment and fun and escapism and all these positive things that make your day better, and you go like, I don't want to pick this up, then that means you have to go like, okay, I'm doing something wrong.
Right. I got another example of a way to know. So for quite a while, when I was in the heat of the sigma heat, um, I would like listen to Spotify on shuffle, and I would come across a song that I love, that a song that I'm really connected to, that means a lot to me. In my heart, my heart would get, I would feel wrong. I'm not allowed to be listening to this right now. Like I'm not allowed to be happy right now. That was
Yeah,
the feeling I would get. So it's like I need to I can't listen to this right now. I need to wait until I deserve to listen to it. And I
yeah.
think if you're feeling that, that's a sign that something you're doing is wrong, I think.
I have absolutely done the exact same thing. So yes, I totally can relate to that.
Yeah.
I've done that where like I would literally I could have a playlist and I would put it into the playlist of like I'll listen to this 5 years from now when it's acceptable to listen to this.
Yes,
That,
yes, exactly.
that's so weird and stupid though. When like in retrospect, it's like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
No,
You
it's
deserve to listen to the song that makes you happy. You deserve to be happy right now. Like if the thing that you're doing, if you're requiring yourself to not be happy to do the thing you're doing, it's just um probably not what you should be doing.
yeah. No, 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's just it's like a weird hole that you like dig yourself into, and then there's all these like self justifications to keep digging. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
I've Sigma grind set it for 4 years or whatever. If I just put 2 more years in, then I'll make it. And you
Yes.
put two
Yes.
more years
Yes.
in, you're like, oh, I'll just do 2 more months, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
And no matter
It's
no matter when you'll have the goals, like, but your goals will always move forward as you move forward. And so like, so even though you feel like you'll get there and then it'll be in a different place, you're not gonna be in a different place. The being in a different place isn't actually achieved by doing that. um and it's really hard to accept that because you hate what you are right now.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and if it's not true that grinding yourself to get to that goal will change what you are right now that you hate, then that means you have to accept the thing that you hate, about your life or yourself or whatever.
The only place like you just said like you want to be at a different place later. The only place you'll ever be is like right here.
Hmm.
Like that'll never everything around can change, but the only place you'll ever be is right here. It's like how goofy it is like when people go on a vacation to get away. It's like you're taking yourself on the vacation. You're not getting away,
Yeah.
you know? Um, but but like there's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want people to think stuff like that. You want people to think like, oh, if the outward situation changes, then I'll be happy. Because then politicians can get you to vote for them. Corporations
Hmm.
can sell you stupid stuff you don't need.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know?
Advertisement. All ads are telling you that
Yeah.
message. Yeah.
Yeah. And so and like, and like unless you stop to examine it and think about it, it's just coming at you all the time, all day, every day. And of course you're gonna think that, right?
Hmm.
I mean, maybe some people are never fall into the Sigma grind set hole, but I think the average person
Does.
uh, feels inadequate and unhappy, and they on some level they're thinking that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's like I'm thinking about how it affects women more different than men, but it definitely affects both. But like the Sigma grind set we think of as a male thing, um, which I mean, obviously there's gonna be women that do that, but like then there's like we're just thinking about like makeup and shit, and that's even worse because like the older you get, the like harder it is to look like a 18-year-old. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like there's the famous saying of women want their man to change, but men want their women to be exactly like what they were when they met them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, which are like two just nonsensical things, right?
Yeah.
Also, the way you said that Sigma grants, it's more, we think of it as more of a male thing, but all the avatars for it, like the guy from Taxi Driver or Patrick Bateman, uh, all of the kind of like avatars of it are all male. So it definitely
Yeah.
leans that way in a lot of ways.
Oh,
Whereas the
this
boss babe phenomenon is more female, I guess.
the boss baby.
Boss babe,
Oh, boss babe. Yeah.
like was it Herbalife or like that multi-level marketing? I don't know if that rings a bell, but
No, but I worked in a shared office space for a while, and there were so many women doing MLM schemes, like that were targeted at women.
yeah, or Pampered Chef. I think it's a big one. Yeah. Although a lot of dudes seem to get into this MLM stuff with the hustle culture.
Oh yeah,
So I mean, I just can't stand being on Instagram because it seems like 50% of Instagram is just MLM people and affiliate marketing and network marketing and just what all this stuff. It just
hmm
that's what it is. It's a platform for that in a lot of ways. Unless you're very specific, it's just me following my friends or whatever.
yeah,
Like all these influencers, of course, make money from selling crap that people don't need. That's all it is, right?
yeah. Well, I don't know. I have a vision. I used to think exactly what you're thinking now, but I've got a vision. There's a way to be an influencer that's cool. And maybe feel free to disagree, but I feel like what you're saying about like marketing and stuff. There's also something cool about marketing and networking. It doesn't have to be some cynical fake smiles and lies thing. Like you can actually just like reach out and like build a community or like a network of like connections and like it doesn't have to be a dishonest thing, like which is going to be a detriment. It's going to make it harder,
Oh
but
yeah. But
um
that's also why that's why a lot of people will take the easy route, right?
right.
But like absolutely, like if you're like a musician and you really care about the art that you create and you play a specific brand of guitars and you get endorsed by that brand and you love those guitars and you uh, promote the guitars, like that totally makes sense. That totally lines up with being ethical, right? Like you can do that for sure.
Right. Something I noticed like early on when I started streaming, it's like I had like some ideas for a topic I wanted to talk about, and like I remember one time I was like, I want to talk to a femboy. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to a femboy, but like gonna need to reach out to multiple femboys. But like if I reach out to multiple, but I only want to talk to one, that means puts me I'm putting myself in a weird position. And so I like asked around like I asked like in some communities of like some big streamers. I was like, so how? What's the way to do this? There must be a way to do this. And they're like, just ask them all and then only talk to one. And it's just like they're like don't. There's so I just did it one by one. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if I would consider that unethical to reach out to multiple people and then just pick, like say you reach out to 50 people and then five of them say yes, and then you pick the one that you think is the best match. I don't really think there's
hmm,
anything. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I mean, the only thing you could say is wrong with that is maybe you wasted a couple seconds of their time in the discussion, but I mean that's just how things go, right?
if somebody reached out to me and said, "Oh, do you want to do this thing with me?" and then they're like, and then they do it with someone else, and it's like, oh, they never. If you ask them about it, like, oh, I don't know, like, what?
I think if you made it specific that the reason they wanted to talk to you was because they wanted some kind of category to be filled and you could fill that slot, because then you know that the reason that they're picking you isn't because of specifically, but because of you, but because they need that slot to be filled, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if that's made clear, then you both know what's going on. But if they make it like we want you to be on because of you, and then they just replace you with some other person and they don't care, then it's like that's rude, right? That's kind of weird.
Right, right.
I think if it's just you're just being transparent about it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, if everybody knows the truth of the situation, I don't think there's anything wrong with that in that sense.
Yeah.
Like if you were like, oh, in this stream, I want to talk about art or something, and then and then you contacted me and said, Connor, I want you to be on to talk about art. But then David Gilmour from Pink Floyd was available. I'd be like, yeah, you should pick David
Yeah, but
Gilmour
I
to be
would
on the
feel so
stream.
shitty. But I would feel so shitty. I mean, I would have like I would feel awful. I mean, I would probably do it because I would be so stupid not to. But I would probably call you up and be like like a wreck. I would be a wreck.
But I think it's different that if you said like, Connor, I want to have you on stream because I want to hear your opinions, and then you just replace me with somebody else, then it would be
Okay,
offensive. But if it
you
was
know
just,
what's something in the back of my head? I wanna if you're down, I would like to do a stream about The Shining with you.
oh, you think I'm going to turn that down, brother? Come on.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course
But
I'll do that.
okay, but like imagine like I get like um like I do that and then I get what's his face from The Shining to come on or Jack Nicholson.
Oh, I would be like, of course, because now I can watch an extra interview with Jack Nicholson. Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were actually asking me to do a thing about
No,
The Shining.
I actually want to do that.
Oh, okay. I'm totally down.
Yeah,
If you
that'd
want to
be
do
great.
that. Yeah.
Connor knows like everything about the movie The Shining, and it's my favorite movie now because of him. Uh,
Sick.
I watched it with him, and he would like giving a bunch of commentary about it and like pausing it and like pointing a bunch of shit out, and it's like I always knew the whole you know dude, anybody that watches The Shining and thinks that it's about just about ghosts, I don't get that. I never thought that. But there's just so much more to it. Like the thing about the door, so, the door. Jack Nicholson famously axes through a door with a fire axe, and he's like puts his face. Where's Johnny? But I didn't know that they had weaker doors, but Jack Nicholson is actually he's an experienced like firefighter in some degree, and so he knows
Yeah.
how to like chop through a door like really well. So he just chopped through these weak doors like they were butter and it looked awful. So they had to get like real hardwood like thick doors that'd be hard for him to cut through, and that's why it looks so good because he's really fucking trying and he's actually good at it. And like
Yeah.
knowing that, just watching that shot just makes the whole thing so much more deep, you know.
It's kind of goofy though that in
Context, like I was saying, that like that the context adds to the art.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I think you and I talked about the death of the artist, I think you call it. I
Yeah.
think you and I talked about that like a year ago, months ago, whatever. And I wasn't sure what I thought about it, and then we talked about it, and I totally like agreed with the conclusion that you came to.
Right,
Um,
because the
but
death of the artist in this case, it would be just taking the movie The Shining without any of your commentary or without any of that insight existing. You know, it's just like nothing about it. It's just me in this movie in front of me, and there's nothing else. Like it's such a
which
it's a consumer product relationship. You know.
Yeah. Whereas the more you learn about Stanley Kubrick and the Stephen King novel and existed before, and the more you learn about that context around it, you gain even more appreciation for the things in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for example, I give you another one for that exact same thing is The Doors. Is that in the novel and I think in the miniseries that came out in 1999, Stephen King wrote it so he's not using an axe, he's using like a croquet mallet, which is like
Hmm.
super lame. It's so
Yeah. Yeah.
lame. So like so if you watch the 4.5 hour miniseries that Stephen King like co-directed or whatever,
Hmm.
he smashes the door down with a croquet mallet and then he sticks his face in and he just goes boo. And so every time I watch the Kubrick version, I kind of I see that in the back of my head and I go like this is so much better. It's like it's so much
Well,
like Kubrick made that they made that up.
another thing that Connor pointed out was that from that fucking same scene, he has a lot to say about The Shining. By the way, another thing about that scene is Kubrick originally, well, he was living in the UK, so when he said "Where's Johnny," um, he didn't think much of it because like that's like a reference. Like, what is that a
Yeah,
reference?
that's how Johnny Carson would start his like nightly show.
Right. Okay.
Here's Johnny.
I only think of it from The Shining, but apparently it's that reference. And so Kubrick didn't know it was a reference, so he discarded that take and he used a different take that wasn't "Where's Johnny" or "Here's Johnny." And someone was like, "No, actually, that's a reference to this. It's actually kind of cool." And last minute, he put it in.
Yeah.
That famous line, you know.
Yeah, there's so much stuff about that movie. There's probably so much stuff like I didn't cover when we went over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this.
It'll be very difficult for another movie to come along that will because that is my favorite movie of all time. It'll be very difficult for another movie. But I have to say that Silent Hill 2 was my favorite game since I played it in like 2004
Mm-hmm.
until I played Death Stranding in 2020. So it did go 16 years until I found a game that I actually thought was better than Silent Hill 2.
Interesting. So a new game. The only reason Death Stranding. Okay, I'm just telling you what you think. The only reason Death Stranding could break that barrier for you is because it was Kojima and he was doing it independent. Because back then, when games were made, you're squinting your eyes. I like that. Well, you're not. I'm happy if you disagree because if I'm telling this shit about yourself. Um, so back then, video games were the people making the games had so much more creative leeway because there wasn't this like producer mentality like with like a lot of money involved, you know, like looming over. And so back then that's why a game like Silent Hill 2 is so creatively inspiring to people. But new games like are people are just like what Fortnite or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And
Games games have definitely become more
a
commodified.
new Tomb Raider game. A new Tomb Raider game. It's like oh, it's this deep, I guess. But yeah, that's like I have not played Death Stranding. Looking at it, like I can understand the criticisms people have of it, but the fact that it's just Kojima's retarded vision, okay, like you know, it's a man's vision, and that just makes it so much more valuable. Like, yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't know if that's why it became my favorite game, but now that you say it like that, I think that definitely that's some context that I would agree with.
it's just
Um,
so hard for because when you say that a new game is now your favorite, because the reason because when I hear you say that The Shining, it's going to be hard for something to top The Shining. Well, a thing that I think of is like in the 70s, movies were just so much more like the producers would just be like, "You're a young guy, you seem to know what you're doing, go for it." And now it's like, "Go for it, and we're gonna take it after you're done in post production, and we're gonna turn it into a new movie with like a fucking boardroom of like, you know,
yeah.
we're expert on feminism here, and we got our expert on whatever the fuck, you know, like we need to make sure all our groups are represented, and we need to make sure that you don't say anything that could hurt. Every single Kubrick movie fucking has the N word in it, for God's sakes, for the
Yeah.
most part.
Pretty much, yeah. Or
Yeah,
something like just something like you're just like, wow. Okay.
yeah. The Shining
No,
has the N word in it. The
I
metal,
think there's three of them
three of
actually.
them. Yeah.
No, and one interesting thing is that Kojima worked at Konami, and that's where Team Silent, who made Silent Hill 2, worked. And their offices were like right next to each other while he was making the Metal Gear Solid games.
Hmm.
And I didn't know this until recently. I was just reading through credits and like looking at IMDb and Moby Games and stuff. Is that some of the people who worked on the first three or four Silent Hill games, once Silent Hill moved to America, a bunch of those people on those teams went to the Metal Gear Solid teams. And then when Kojima left Konami or was fired or whatever and went to do his new studio, a bunch of people who worked on those original Silent Hill games worked on Death Stranding. I didn't
Wow.
realize that. I didn't realize that until like this year.
Wow.
So like the main character designer of Silent Hill 3 was Shingo Yuri, worked on Death, unfortunately passed away, I think, this year. But he worked on Death Stranding, and then a bunch of the programmers from Silent Hill worked on Death Stranding and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Hmm.
And it's just really interesting seeing like tie-ins like that.
Yeah. Well,
Actually.
it's such a coincidence if your favorite game the new favorite game happens to have some of the same people working on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah. All
Yeah, it's a
right.
small world.
Well, do you have any last words?
You should have asked me that before I crashed the car.
Oh yeah, well you could crash the car again tomorrow.
That's
You could
true. That's true.
you could fuck up getting the toast out of the toaster. You could
Yeah, that's true. I'm taking a bath and I go like I plug in the toaster and drop it into the bath kind of thing, something stupid.
that probably wouldn't
Uh,
happen, but
uh, I don't know. The only thing that I can say recently is that the more I accept RNG from like speedrunning.
mhm.
Um,
Connor has gotten me into Asmongold. Okay, this is what it's making me think of because he'll share these like Asmongold clips or like Asmongold's incredibly articulate and he uses video game mechanics as like ways to talk about things. Like he was talking about like one thing in the recent video you shared. I'm sorry I interrupted your famous last words. Um, in the
go for it.
recent video you shared of him, he was talking about um like people he was saying that a lot of people think that your success is just based on like how good you are or how like whatever, but he said no, but you got to keep in mind your spawn RNG,
Yeah,
so like if you spawn in like um Afghanistan or something, like your ability to be a software engineer is going to be dramatically limited. And if you spawn in fucking Silicon Alley or whatever,
yeah.
Silicon Alley. Yeah. Anyway, so sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, it's all good. That's kind of what I was just gonna say. Is
Oh,
just that
okay.
the more you accept that things are just RNG, like probably 99% of things are just RNG. Like really, is
Mm,
you're born, you have your genetics, you have what family you're born into, what country you're in, state you're born into, what language you grew up learning, what school you get into. Just all of these things are just totally RNG, or you don't have control over them essentially, right?
mm-hmm.
Um, and like maybe like there's just a small percent of your life that you actually do have the control over, and the rest of it's all RNG. And it just the more I realize that or accept that, the happier I become,
Yeah,
which is a
and it feels
very odd thing.
it seems like that's the opposite. It seems like
Yeah,
accepting that would be horrible. It would seem, but you, the only way to be happy is just to accept the horror. You can
yeah,
fool yourself. You can fool yourself. You can be Andrew Tate, and you can try to convince everyone around you that you're happy, and but he's fucking not happy. Have you fucking seen
no,
him?
no. And put yourself in his shoes for a week. Do you think by the end of the week he'd be like, "Oh God, this is kind of lame and boring and stupid." Like maybe the first couple of days it might be kind of fun, but like after a little while, it's start like this is really stupid, you know?
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't think people like him are actually all that happy, to be
no,
honest.
no. I think yeah. I was saying in a different stream. I think that women are tend to be a lot happier than men because men have to like fail or succeed, but women are happy just like finding the middle ground, kind of like place where they're actually happy, and they are lauded into that a lot better.
There's a quote that I heard that was something on the curse of being a man is that you're replaceable and disposable, and the curse of being a woman is that your beauty fades over time. Or something, it was something along the lines of that, and I thought that was really interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Go jump off a bridge.
All right. I'll credit you for that tonight.
All right. I said that because your hat.
Oh, okay. I thought you're making a car joke.
Oh no no. I just
Go crash your car again.
yeah. Well, you flipped your car and my car caught up in flames. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so
Have you?
thanks for having me, man. It was fun.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. We'll do a Shining stream sometime.
Anytime you let me know, I really enjoyed this, so I'd be down to do it again.
All right. Dope. Talk to you later.
Peace.
I was raised by and around a lot of women, and I abused the medium middle ground logic. You definitely abuse it. It's a good logic, and I wouldn't say it's abuse. I would say it's a you're taking advantage of it's a good attitude. Because the people like if you want to live the life like I said this in my last stream, the person that becomes the president of the United States or the person that becomes like CEO of Amazon as usually that's not like a great life. Like you're sigma grind setting your whole life. External combustion engine, someone said. Someone said look up again while talking. Guys like my new camera? I would like to be walking around my room. You're welcome. Nice NTV. What's NTV? This isn't MTV. This is cheesecake. If I stand like this, it'll make me like look fat, sorta. Or I feel like I have a jacket because of the warp. Like I'm standing up straight. I'm standing straight right now. Or I look like I'm curved. I'm trying to do some cool blues licks. Just sound. Okay, I'll get better at that. This is a pretty cool harmonica. I'm gonna practice it. Yo, bro, got the shirt tucked in, baby. All right. Welcome